So, as you know, if you've been following the happenings at the Nigerian Senate, what happened between um, Senator Natasha Akpoti and Godswill Akpabio, with the backlash that happened, and Nigerians obviously saw right through what Akpabio was trying to do. We all understand and know that it is it's nothing less than bullying. It's just everything to do with bullying. That's why um, the senator did what he did. I mean, I'm talking about Akpabio. However, this committee is sitting down. Remember, she called order 10, I think. He was the order 10, and Natasha called to defend herself or face a committee. So the Senate is sitting and they're talking about what to do. As you watch this, you'll find out that the Nigerian Senate actually did side with um, the Senate president, and they used several examples to side with Senate president, and obviously the conclusion is that they will find a way to deal with Natasha Akpoti, Senator Natasha Akpoti. If you're meeting this content for the first time, please like, share, and subscribe. One thing is clear, regardless of whatever the outcome of this is, we listen, before you carry on, just obviously remember that there was never a way Natasha was going to win this. She was never going to win this argument. They were going to always find a way to punish her. Okay, so and it is evident of what is going to happen. If you listen to the senators speak, you would understand what I mean. And I pray that you watch this to the end. It's quite a lengthy one, it's about 25 minutes, but you'll realize that she was never going to win this. And the reason being that you're standing up against the Senate president and you're standing up for yourself. Bullies never like that. And exactly what is going on here, if as you can see. So as you watch this, I enjoy you to watch till the end, and then you can make your own opinions as well. But we have to also remember that if you look at the senators that we have right now in Nigerian Senate, many of them, if you go and check with them, how many laws bills they've actually helped to write, how many laws they've passed, or how many laws they've written, you realize that we're just wasting money. These ones have not come to make change in Nigerian Senate. They've actually just come to eat more and fatten themselves up. So that's why we have to start preparing and then making that announcement. That's why I'm saying to you, share this content and subscribe. We need to broadcast this change that we want before 2027. They are really afraid now. They know that Nigerians are quite more active than we used to be before. So our eyes are on them. So I'm saying this, please like, share, and subscribe. We need to do this together, and then let's push this notification out and let everyone become aware. The people on the street, the people in the every single person needs to hear this so that we can start prepping ourselves towards 2027 to get this change done. All right, thank you very much, and God bless you. Bye for now as you watch this. I'll catch up with you later. Bye.
A seat outside the Senate chamber. We think that the Senate president is in order in this wise. But like I said, that the infraction degenerated to the extent that our colleague disagreed in order to stand by the orders of the Senate while raising a point of order. And we know that when you are in the Senate or in the legislation, when you are not in order, you cannot raise a point of order. You have to be in order to ask for order. As this was not enough, the media trolled the Senate variously and precariously from that Thursday. And I, as the spokesperson of the Senate, I had to go about trying to mend those broken pieces of the images and integrity of this 10th Senate, which I think should not have happened. And like I said, I reiterated that the Senate is not for skit making. It's not for content creation, whereby you show off before cameras, for the media to take pictures, take shots, snapshots, TikTok, and so on and so forth. And then we exhibit so that we can play the other dog, and then the general public who might be very oblivious of the guiding rules of the Senate, can poo-poo the Senate. So this brouhaha went on up till today. And I know, because as we are here, some media houses are still even inviting me to come and explain off further what transpired. But, Mr. President, my hunch is not whether the senator can raise any issue within the chamber, because we know we enjoy absolute privilege. But absolute privilege is not absolute disobedience. We know that one. I just want to behold my colleagues that the popular saying that as you lay your bed, so you shall sleep on it. Are we laying this bed very well and decently for us to sleep very well, have very good dreams for Nigeria? We are all here, 109 of us, Mr. President and my colleagues, sent to this place by our constituents for 3 major reasons: to make laws for the good governance of Nigeria, to advocate for our constituencies, various ones for that matter, and to do oversight functions of the MDAs. And anything outside this, we look at it as privileges, not only the sitting arrangement in the Senate. And we all subscribe to the leadership of the 10th Senate under Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio. And like what I experienced, the whole thing, some people, a section of the public, are now narrowing it to Mr. Senate President versus a senator, which is not so. Because our guiding rules, which is our testament and our catechism, our own Bible and our own Quran, which we all subscribe to religiously, embodies and epitomizes the whole Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Any action against it is an action against the Senate. It's not an action against the Senate President. Mr. President, sir, we were told when we were growing up as toddlers that where there is no law, there's no sin. But we have laws. Then it means that any contravention of that law is a sin. And where there is sin, there must be penalty. And where there is penalty, we expect penitence. And going further, it's not about the sitting arrangement only. We are made to believe about, to see expletives being rained on the leadership of the Senate, on the allocation of committees, which we ask. We have been voted for in our constituencies as chairmen or committee members. No. We have our primary assignment, secondary and tertiary assignment. These are just auxiliary assignments. Mr. President, I don't want to take too much of our time explaining myself off. But, like I said, I want the leadership of the Senate to stand by the rules. And when infractions are being committed, because we can see a liturgy of it, that some people have done it before, nothing happened. Some other people are taking it. I, as your spokesperson and an image maker, when an image is broken beyond recognition, then to make that image become very Herculean, almost impossible. And so for me, I'm just, without submitting a report, which I will still do later, want to thank my colleagues and the President of the Senate for giving me this opportunity to present to you the happenings in the Senate and outside the Senate in the past 6 days. Their colleagues, I so submit. Thank you very seriously. My prayers. I want to pray. Yes, major prayer. I should not pray any prayer. Yes, it's not a substantive motion. I want to metamorphose.
If you don't have any prayer, it means you have not moved any motion. Okay, you've reported to us. Okay, so Senator Jim Ibrahim.
Thank you very much, Mr. Senate President.
Let's hear from him.
My very distinguished colleagues, in supporting Senator Daramodu, I want to emphasize that the integrity of the Senate cannot be compromised. This is the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And like you said in the morning, even at the Constitution, Section 1, Subsection 2, any act of even National Assembly that is inconsistent with the provision of the Constitution is void to the extent of its inconsistency. So any behavior, any act or omission of any senator that stand inconsistent with the provision of the Red Book, our guideline, is void and of no effect. And as a matter of fact, the men in chambers are people of integrity. Mr. Senate President, I am very privileged to be here as a senator to meet very distinguished names that I've been hearing on the front of newspapers. So, Mr. Senate President, the men that are seated here are men of integrity, and their names are protective. Even yourself, Your Excellency, you serve as governor for 8 years. You have been minister. You have been conferred with national honors. So this integrity cannot be destroyed in one day. And like I said, I quoted you this morning. You said any act of parliament that's inconsistent with the provision of the Constitution is to the extent of its consistency void and of no effect. Attorney General of Bende State and Attorney General of Federation. Any behavior, any act or omission of any senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that's inconsistent with the Red Book is to the extent of its consistency void and of no effect. And we owe the public a duty of explanation, which I think Adaramodu has formulated and distilled very well. It's not an emotional matter. And we have very many committees in the Senate that handle issues like this. The ethics committee is there. We could refer matters like this to them to give us better diagnosis of the issue and what we can do in accordance with our rule. I'm not above the law of the Senate. And like I said, I am very privileged, and I mean it, to come to this floor of the Senate and see men of integrity, honor here that dignify the chamber. The chamber is not about you alone, Mr. Senate President. It's about everybody. And sitting arrangement is something that is not even too significant. I am at the back seat, but I can lend my voice. In fact, Mr. Senate President, the former Senate President, very distinguished Senator Ahmed Lawal, is at the very back seat after my own. Look at my own seat. Look at his own seat. And he's not complaining. He will raise up his hand with respect here, and will still go there to bow for his respect because he's a man of integrity. So why can somebody say, can anybody be at the back seat more than him here? I am not against Natasha. I'm not for anybody. I'm just saying that the Senate is an institution, and that institution needs to have at its dashboard integrity as number one driving force in the dashboard of the Nigeria Senate. And our Senate President must be respected. Let me say lastly, the Senate President government, as far as I know, is dwell in the thesis of liberalism, cooperation and collaboration. And you cannot take this one away from the Senate President. That is his straight and taxonomies and behavior. But there is extent to this collaboration and cooperation in the face of the Red Book. I challenge you, Mr. Senate President. Your collaboration and cooperation as a liberalist, which I know you of, in the face of the Red Book supersedes whatever liberalism you want to have advocate in the floor of the Senate. So I support my very distinguished colleague, and I think matters like this should be handled by Ethics Committee. Thank you.
Leader, you closed the discussion, but Senator Karemi said he has an observation to make. Okay, sorry. Senator Karimi, the leader of the Senate, says what he wants to say is an overriding observation.
I thank you, Mr. President, for giving me this respect and honor, and I'm not taking it for granted. Mr. President, this is one of those moments that I would love to stand up to make a general appeal to our colleagues. To begin with, Mr. President, be rest assured that you have our vote of confidence as a Senate, because this is not about you. This is about us as an institution. This is about our rules and procedure, our practices and convention, and parliamentary tradition that we are sustaining in this place. So,
You just said something now. Please,
yes.
Just a minute. Those in support of the statement of the leader that the Senate President has the support and the love of the entire 10 Senate say aye. Aye. And those again say nay. The ayes have it. So the Senate leader, whatever you say is from the pulpit.
Well, thank you.
Continue.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, the reason I'm standing up to speak at this time, early enough, is that there is no one of our colleagues here who does not have an opinion on this issue. Whether they even speak out or not, everybody has an opinion. But we are all united on one thing. Our rules must be respected, because that is what binds us together. People who serve for 8 years as governor, chief executive in states, people who serve as honorable ministers of this federal republic, and they will still go to the nooks and crannies of their villages and constituencies to go and contest election, to come to this hallowed chamber. It is because there is something about the Senate. And under our watch, we are not going to allow this institution to be discredited. We are not going to leave behind, for those coming after us, an institution that is any weaker than what we inherited. So when it comes to protecting the integrity and credibility of this institution, no one takes it for granted. Let me also make it clear to members of public that the whole simi ulabalu about one of our colleagues, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, being asked to move to another seat, is nothing that has to do with gender, is nothing that has to do with hatred, is nothing that has to do with any form of malice. For the record, let me say again, distinguished Senator Adamu Alero, who had been governor for 8 years, who had been honorable minister, and who is one of the most ranking senators in this Senate today, was asked to move his seat. And he didn't make any issue out of it. We had a reason to change the seat of His Excellency Distinguished Senator Aminu Waziri Tambuwa. He didn't make any issue out of it. Senator Jarigbe, Jarigbe, we had a reason to move his seat. He didn't make an issue. Senator Wadada, we moved his seat. He didn't make an issue out of it. That's on the minority side. On the majority side, we had reasons to move the seat, change the seats of the likes of Senator Wamako, obviously one of the most ranking senators here, two-time governor before. He didn't make any issue. Senator Olamilekan will change his seat. Senator, that's the chairman of appropriation. Senator Adetokunbo Abiru will change his, and several other people here. And the part of the reason that necessitated our recent decision to change seat was because at least 3 people, 3 distinguished colleagues, had moved from the minority aisle to the majority aisle. First was distinguished Senator Ifeanyi Uba of blessed memory. And then Senator Ezenwa Francis Oyewuchi moved. And then lately, distinguished Senator Ned Nwoko moved. All of this necessitated a change in our sitting arrangement because we needed to readjust. Of course, I understood why distinguished Senator Adaramodu would be concerned. He's our image maker, he's our spokesperson. And most of all listened to the interview that distinguished Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan granted unberiketed. She exercised her right to speak, but the question was about the contents of what she said, whether it was the truth or not.
He will back down.
We have a committee that is in charge of how much of a strength of character we display as elected members of this Senate. How much of respect to the rules of this Senate that we display. That is the Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petition. That committee has a responsibility not only to investigate whatever alleged, refusal to obey our rules or display of lack of strength of character, but the committee also has a responsibility to ensure that the privileges of the affected senator are also protected. And it is important that rather than all sitting here to debate this issue, that we just allow this matter, most respectfully, to be referred to our Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petition, so that the committee can deal with this issue and probably in a week or two come back to us. And that will form the basis of our further debate and action on this matter. What Senator Adaramodu presented was a general report, and it had to come under Order 1B because it was not on the other paper for today, and he did it well. But it was not for him to make any prayer. It was not a substantive motion that he was bringing. He has laid his report before us. I beg most respectfully, let's refer this matter to our Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petition, and they will get back to us so that right after this, we can go into an executive session and discuss other issues of public importance. But on this matter, I pray that we do not debate it any further. Let's just refer it to the appropriate committee. I so submit.
Well, distinguished colleagues, the Senate leader more or less has finally arrived at a motion before us that we should refer the entirety of the saga to our ethics, code of conduct, and public petitions to revert back to us. But let me just read this for the record. I'm sitting today as Senate President. Tomorrow I will not be here. One day I will not be here. Another person will be here. I was a member of the 8th Senate. Today I'm a member of the 10th Senate. I believe strongly it's only God that knows who will be a member of the 9th Senate, of the 11th Senate, 12th Senate. The institution remains. Even as I'm talking now, Senator Buhari knows that the rule allows a senator to sit anywhere, but if you need to make contribution, you must go back to your seat. And part of maintenance of order from the presiding officer is that where a particular senator perambulates too much around the Senate, you recognize him to speak. And so most times, that senator, I won't mention the name, will have to run from here straight to his seat because he knows the rule. He knows the rule. He knows the rule that he has to speak from his seat. Even the first time the issue came up here, our distinguished sister was not even speaking from her seat. And that was when we tried to call her to order. I think part of the problem is when people come from court-declared senators, they miss the orientation.